The story of Saint Peter.
Subscribe to our channel to receive more content like this.
Imagine a man standing by a boat surrounded by the quiet waters of a lake. This man, Peter, was just an ordinary fisherman, yet his life would be changed forever. His story isn't just about faith, it's about doubt, courage, failure, and redemption. This is a story of Saint Peter, one of the most well-known disciples of Jesus. Peter was a fisherman, working day and night to catch enough fish to support his family. One day, after a long, unsuccessful night on the water, he and his brother, Andrew, were cleaning their nets by the shore. They were tired, discouraged, and ready to call it a day. But that's when they saw him, Jesus. Jesus was teaching a crowd by the shore, and seeing the fishermen, he asked Peter to take him out on his boat. Peter agreed, and after pushing out a little from the shore, Jesus continued to teach the people. But then something incredible happened. Jesus told Peter to cast his nets one more time, even though they had caught nothing all night. Peter hesitated. "Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything," he said. But, trusting Jesus, he threw the nets out once more, and this time the nets were so full of fish they began to tear. Peter couldn't believe his eyes. Peter fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man," he cried. But Jesus, with a gentle smile, replied, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." And just like that, Peter's life was changed. He left everything, his boat, his family, his livelihood, and followed Jesus. Peter became one of Jesus' closest friends. He was always the first to speak up, the first to act, sometimes without thinking. He was passionate, sometimes too passionate, and that made him both bold and flawed. One day, while Jesus and his disciples were on a boat crossing a lake, a terrible storm came up. The wind howled, and the waves crashed against the boat. The disciples were terrified. But then, in the middle of the storm, they saw someone walking toward them on the water. It was Jesus. "Don't be afraid," Jesus called out. "It's me." But Peter, always the bold one, said, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you on the water." Jesus simply said, "Come." And Peter did the unimaginable. He stepped out of the boat and onto the water, walking toward Jesus. For a moment, he was walking on water, his eyes fixed on Jesus. But then the wind picked up and fear crept in. Peter looked around, saw the waves, and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out and caught him. "You of little faith," Jesus said, "why did you doubt?" Even in his failure, Peter learned something important that day. When we take our eyes off Jesus, we sink. But if we keep our eyes on him, we can do the impossible. As time went on, Peter saw Jesus perform miracles, heal the sick, and teach about the kingdom of God. He witnessed it all, and one day, while Jesus was asking his disciples who people said he was, Peter made a powerful declaration. Jesus asked, "Who do you say I am?" Without hesitation, Peter responded, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus smiled at Peter and said, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven." This moment was a high point for Peter. He had recognized Jesus for who he truly was. But, as we'll see, Peter's journey was far from over. Soon, the tension between Jesus and the religious leaders grew. Jesus knew his time was coming to an end. He warned his disciples that they would face trials ahead. Peter, ever the confident one, declared, "Even if all fall away on account of you, I never will." But Jesus, with a sad look, told him, "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter was shocked. "I would never do that," he said. But later that night, after Jesus was arrested, Peter followed at a distance, trying to stay hidden in the shadows. When a servant girl saw him, she pointed and said, "You were with Jesus, weren't you?" Peter denied it. "I don't know what you're talking about," he replied. A little later, others recognized him and asked if he was one of Jesus' followers. Peter denied it again. And then, for the 3rd time, someone asked, "Didn't I see you with him in the garden?" Peter began to curse and swear, saying, "I don't know the man." And just then, the rooster crowed. Peter remembered Jesus' words and he broke down in tears. He had denied the very one he loved. But Peter's story doesn't end in failure. After Jesus died and rose again, he appeared to his disciples by the shore of a lake. Peter, ashamed of his denial, was fishing with the others. When he saw Jesus on the shore, he jumped into the water and swam to him. Jesus greeted him with a simple question, "Peter, do you love me?" Peter replied, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And 3 times, just as Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, Jesus asked him, "Do you love me?" Each time, Peter responded, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus then gave him a mission: "Feed my sheep." He was restoring Peter, giving him a new purpose, and letting him know that despite his past mistakes, he was still called to lead and care for others. Peter would go on to become a great leader in the early church, preaching boldly, even facing persecution, all because Jesus forgave him and gave him a second chance. The story of St. Peter teaches us many things. It shows us that faith isn't always about being perfect or having it all together. It's about trusting Jesus, even when we're scared or uncertain. It reminds us that we all fail sometimes, but that doesn't have to be the end of our story. With Jesus, we can be forgiven and redeemed. Peter's journey was a journey of growth, of highs and lows, doubts and triumphs, but in the end, it was about following Jesus with all his heart. And just like Peter, we too are called to follow, to grow, and to live out the love that Jesus showed us, no matter where we've been or what we've done.